Okay, today we're just going to do a quick short video just to see what's inside a small oil filter. This one's just a Z418, straight off any Toyota Lister, thousands of applications. Pretty basic sort of filter. So we'll get our grinder, get into it. Okay, we're just going to cut the top off with our angle grinder. Just a basic Z418, 11 anti-drain back valve and a spring at the bottom, but we'll cut it open, see how much paper's in it. That's the top plate, just holds the thread and the O-ring. This part here, anti-drain back valve, usually neoprene. So this way, if the filter is mounted on the vehicle upside down, it's always full of oil, so the engine won't starve for oil on startup. That's its main purpose. So you take that off. So these are usually neoprene. Sometimes they're silicone in the higher quality race filters. There's your, just take it out. There's your element. This one's just a basic paper element. And in the bottom of that, just have our spring, which just holds the pressure on the element up against the top plate. Pretty straightforward as well. And we'll see here if we can take the top off and the bottom off. We'll see how much paper we got inside. We'll just tear the paper and we'll see how much filter media we got inside. Paper off. That's just your reinforced center tube to stop it collapsing, but it's only a lube filter, so they don't have to be all that strong or tough. And here is all the paper. Filters are all oil. So now we've got our filter cut up. I'm just going to have a look at the parts of it and just the critical aspects of those parts. Like obviously this is the can. Not such a big deal. You want a good solid one though, because these will get rocks thrown at them and they'll get rub marks on them sometimes. So if you ever get a rock thrown at it and it puts a hole in it, you know, that's not a good outcome for anyone. So in the more expensive filters, they're always going to be fairly heavy, and Secure a good brand, and that's a nice heavy one. Top cap, always got to watch just to make sure that thread inside is nice and deep. Sometimes they can be, you know, only 2 or 3 threads down. That one's about 5 there, and that's a really good solid cap. They have the right type of seal on it. This one's a square section seal. Some come round, some come square. Just got to be careful though that they meet OE manufacturers' specifications, and these ones do, like all good filters do. This part here is just a neoprene anti-drain back valve. Always, this can be sometimes a little bit flimsy. This one's probably not the best ever, but it obviously meets manufacturer's specs, so it does its job. The spring in the bottom, sometimes these springs can just be a bent piece of metal to give the spring effect. I would rather see a proper spring like that. It seems to hold its tension a lot better. This reinforced center tube, not especially critical in lube situations, but in hydraulic and some high pressure hydraulic applications, that's got to be really heavy, because then the filter, so it won't crush if there's a failure or anything like that. That's just the top cap. It's not really important. Obviously glue from the paper onto the cap is important, but you know, you can see there's a fair bit of glue around the inside of these, so they're a pretty good spec filter. The most important part is the filter media, or the paper, because it's just a basic lube element. It's just a standard cellulose type media. Nothing wrong with it. You just got to make sure that these are, they'll either be glued or this one's crimped with a metal band. Sometimes they can just be folded over and just with a light glue down the center, but that's not what you want. Like, you don't want to be able to pull it apart. I've had to put a fair bit of force to get that one apart. And that's about it for an oil filter. And that's how much filter paper is actually filters your oil for 10,000 or 15,000 Ks, whatever it might be. So that wraps up taking apart just a simple little lube filter for an automotive application or a car. Next time, cut open one of these, dual flow element for a truck or heavy equipment on a diesel, and we'll see what it looks like inside.